Hi guys, this is part 2 of my interview with Costa, so let's get on to the video. Welcome to Mondays with Michaela. How does concern for the environment win against human negativity and apathy?
Knowing your topic, immersing in the information, maintaining a clear, concise and articulate capacity to explain when asked the question, and not to fall into the, oh yeah, well, it's just, well, you're just wrong, or attacking the questioner or the doubter or the negative Nancy or whatever it is, because once you lower yourself down to the tit for tat level, then the whole debate's over. And this is where that the political climate has reached, where it's more about attacking the opponent, not the ball. And what we need to do is really be ever vigilant about knowing our topics and not go in with our head up into a firing line and think, oh, I'll be okay because this is the right thing.
Yeah.
That's like a surefire recipe to be popped off, because they'll just knock you down straight away, and you'll get up, they'll knock you down again, and then you'll attack them. And attacking them is the big mistake. We need to continually maintain our core here and let people know, because it's the big group. This is the mass. This is the masses. We need to give them that valuable information, and they will make the decision. They're not playing fake news and all that. They smell bullshit from a mile away, right? And if you try and dupe people and try and play the oh well, I'm just going to milk this situation, or I'm going to try and out fake everyone else. No, you just have to keep sure. Even though they'll turn around and say, oh, the science is this and the science is that. Just have your facts, have your case studies, have your connection to it, so that oozes. It's got to be clinical. It's got to be very good on its facts, but it's got to still have the mongrel ticker. You still got to fire up, but fire up because of the passion, not because of the anger to punch on.
I think you're right. I think sometimes people are so passionate about a topic that as soon as somebody disagrees, they focus on belittling that person rather than educating them on their view. And I think you're right on that. So I think it's important on educating people on your view and why you feel that you're right with the evidence that you can conclude. But I also don't think it's about right and wrong. I think it's about educating people on what is the facts.
Exactly. And this is the kicker. And you learn it when you're doing media. You can't tell the whole story in a story. Like, these things that I'm talking about, whether it's pollination, whether it's the importance of soil, whether it's the importance of habitat or whatever, you can't tell that in a conversation. Like, this is about a big switchboard capacity to link all these things in, but you need to just pick a couple of things and just go zoom. The sooner you get to that capacity to be able to go, right, let's just hammer home this point, and hammer home that point in the context of where and how they're going to be positioning that. And when you just stick to that, you then stand out, because you're clear, you're focused, you're articulate, and you're unswaved, unwaved. All that anyone ever wants to do is get you rocking, and then once you're rocking, boom.
Yeah.
And then they'll do all the finishing. They'll gouge, they'll punch, they'll kick, they'll do all that. But when you just focus on staying strong and clear and concise, you're not going to change everyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then you go, well, where's my energy best spent?
So when you are frustrated, what is your go-to?
I suppose my go-to would be getting out into nature. And that doesn't mean like driving 5 hours and climbing a mountain and doing a yogi's headstand or something. You know, that's as simple as just going down and staring at my chooks for 5 minutes. That can be enough to just make me just reset, you know, just push the button. I'll just walk down, check on the worm farms, check on the compost, have a look at the plants, dehead a few things and take the seeds, go for a walk, go for a swim at the beach, read. But generally, if you know, if I sort of got an outcome that wasn't quite right, I just let it sit. I don't try and rebake it in that initial post situation because you're too wired up. You just go, okay, I'll just let that be. And then you go, well, why didn't it happen? And then you start to step back a little and then you see, well, actually it was better that it didn't happen today because that's given me the chance to have to reboot it, to redo it in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks' time, that's actually when so-and-so is going to be here. And because they're going to be here and that's happening, and that's also this particular event, well, that was when it should have happened. If you start to look at life as these swings and roundabouts and these ladders and snakes, or snakes and ladders, and that when you sometimes go down a snake, that's only because the doors further up aren't going to open because you're not there at the right time. And if you think about that in that context, then you'll actually start to calibrate everything into a timing that's just the right time.
Yeah.
And you won't bang your head against things all the time. And that's not to say that you have to be 50, 60, 70 or 80 for that process to start to happen. You got to have the mongrel, you got to have the ticker, you got to have the fire. But when you can shift the lens and pull back a little sometimes and pull back and not actually say that because it will be worse to say that, even though it may be a truth, but that doesn't need to come out now because it will thwart the process and send you down that snake and you're going to have to reboot. And so there's these wonderful ways that you can allow life to give you these cues. And if you allow yourself to see the cues as clues, then you won't have to be the alpha personality that is constantly dragging against the flow, saying, well, you know, we'll fight them, and we'll get there, because it's a lot of energy that doesn't need to be spent and can be moderated, you know, just moderated. And that's not taken away from the fact that there's some places and there's some things that you have to confront, but confrontation brings results in different ways. And always defaulting to confrontation isn't always the answer, but avoiding confrontation isn't always the answer either, because how you manage that capacity to discuss, confront, connect, they're all the same word.
So at 16, what were your thoughts on the future? What did you aspire to be?
I was really lucky because at about 14 or 15, I was given an amazing chance to go on a 6-week tour of Greece with about 75 students, all aged between about 14 and 17.
That's amazing.
And it was at that point in my life where I realized I had been given this very special gift from my parents, which was the chore at the time of learning another language. But when I went to Greece and realized that I could communicate with another whole side of the world and a country and a people you know, that was such an eye-opener. It just said to me, wow. And I came back and I thanked my parents and I said, right, I want to finish school. I want to get my study behind me, get my course or career or whatever it is, you know, my degree or whatever. And then I'm going to go and travel the world. So at 16, that was my motivation. I was like, you know, just go for it. And that's what I did. You know, I scraped into uni, which was all I needed. I got in the door and then I transferred to landscape architecture within the first year and then never looked back. And then after that, did what I said I'd do, which was finish the course, work for 9 months, saved up money, and then went and lived over in Europe for the better part of 10 years.
That's amazing.